I saw Eephus, which is a fun little baseball dramedy that made the rounds at a few festivals last year, including Cannes. For those wondering why I even sought out this movie so much, it's because baseball has been kind of a guilty pleasure of mine for quite a while now. Some of my very first actual valuable experience editing video came from running a baseball channel when I was in my early teens. This right here is the first YouTube account I ever owned that had any semblance of what you'd call success. I remember getting like 20k views on my stupid Josh Donaldson 2014 highlights video when I was like 14 or 15, and I got so excited. I have heard through the grapevine that the most common answer kids give nowadays to the "what do you want to be when you grow up" question is to be a YouTuber, which is very funny to me because I remember when I was like one of the only children who said that. I have returned to this baseball channel a few times over the years, once in early 2020 to try to make some Nakey Jakey style green screen video essays on various aspects surrounding the sport, and once again just last year to have a place for my dumb docuseries I was doing for my city softball team. Baseball and art have a big divide, unfortunately. Artsy folk sort of hate sports, and people super into sports sort of hate artsy folk. The gap becomes increasingly evident when trying to search for an actually decent baseball movie. Most are terrible or boring, and even the best seem to be just okay. I've watched a lot of baseball movies over the years in hopes of finding an actually great one. I got hyped for maybe a second when I saw Bull Durham was on Criterion, but in all honesty, it's just as subpar as the rest. I guess if I had to pick a favorite baseball movie, I'd say Moneyball is probably the one. As an actual film, it's very solid, but baseball fans know it's a bit of an inauthentic and gross exaggeration of the actual story. It's over-dramatized and oftentimes thinks it's a lot cooler than it is. So yeah, for a while I was starting to think it was just a pipe dream to get a truly amazing sports movie, but then I saw Challengers last year, and it completely blew those doubts out of the water. Tennis is the other sport I love and grew up playing, so this is about as perfect as it gets as far as showing it on film. I still have high hopes we can get there with baseball content. I've got a few ideas. Any Hollywood execs out there? Just let me know when and I can give you my pitch. But long-winded intro out of the way, I did not mean to go off on such a tangent. I just happened to read the Letterboxd review from co-writer Nate Fisher about the director Carson Lund and him meeting. It really struck me because it shows that these guys clearly care about making something that is both genuine and reflective. He talked about connections and forming genuine bonds over simple pastimes and conversation topics. I kind of just wanted to throw my hat in the ring for a second and maybe share some Riley lore about my origins on the internet. But enough rambling, what did I think about the movie itself? We already talked about how the bar is somewhat low, and I'd say this goes up there in the pretty good category. Eephus is about the final game played at a local field before it gets demolished, and how the guys who meet up there have to come to terms with that. For those that don't know, an Eephus pitch is a type of ball thrown intentionally so slow that it's hard to even hit, and that is a perfect way to summarize the way these old farts try to stretch out their last outing together. The story takes place under an autumn backdrop which suits the theme of time slowly fading away and maybe lost innocence. Plus, the fall atmosphere does create some stellar vibes to play around with cinematically. Not only does fall signify the beginning of the end in most symbolic senses, it's also typically when baseball season ends, so there's even a reference to finality there. I was just happy to see that it never got obnoxious like most other sports features do, and I found the dialogue to be super well written. I'd even say that if this somehow caught on with the public, it'd be just as quotable and referenced as other classic family baseball movies like The Sandlot or A League of Their Own. There's some great lines from the characters here. For anyone who has actually played Rec League with a bunch of guys well past their prime, you see so many caricatures and personalities, most of which this movie is spot on at portraying. You've got the dude who shows up late and has to play in his jeans or sandals, the guy who gets too hammered at one point to even play anymore, the one who gets yelled at for messing around too much, the guys who are too serious, too goofy, the ones trying to resurrect their heyday. But But it's not just about the people playing the game, it's also about the environment, which this movie also nails. You've got that old retiree just walking by who randomly wants to join in and play. The dad who shows up with his kid wanting to use the field. The lights going out and everyone trying to play in the dark. It's all there, and it's all so accurate. I've seen a lot of people say that this is about men's struggle to hang out, socialize, bond, and generally just feel stuff together, but I think I got something a little less specific, maybe. That stuff is all definitely still true, and it's here clear as day. This movie does a great job at showing it. But I still saw something about more or less just our general fight against time and how we grapple with the inevitable. Our inability to stop or pause our lives, and the frustration that comes with that. I don't know if this movie makes any big conclusions, but yeah, I don't have much else to add analysis-wise. It's still a baseball movie, and what I mean by that is I don't know if I'd appreciate it nearly as much if I didn't have a love for the sport already. Much like non-fans of the actual game, you may find it slow and meandering. There's no juicy Zendaya love triangle subplot to hang on to. It's just old guys talking, yelling at each other occasionally. At least it'll be nice for you to look at, and who knows, maybe you'll appreciate what it's got going on underneath the hood. If you are, however, itching for a decent sports movie, then I'd maybe check this out. It's good at being itself, and does succeed at being cozy while still trying to say something. Eephus is either a 6 or low to mid 7. It's a low budget first feature that starts an interesting conversation, but maybe just doesn't finish it. Tell me what you think though. Watch it if it sounds interesting. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.